Well, did you become ill or injured during your service? And if so, can you share details or diagnosis? You've kind of already gone through that.
Well, the I think there's predispositions, right? I came into the forces unprepared, so there are certain things I didn't go through. I had to learn them while I was in. So I started at a disadvantage, right? I think that has a play in it. You experience small bits and pieces. For me, it was exhaustion. I lived out of my kit bag for 4 years, between deploying and coming back and going on a course, deploying and coming back, going on a course. There was no regeneration cycle. Yep. It was, your regeneration was you're on deployment and then you're on course, deploy, course, deploy. So yeah, I was absolutely exhausted, but I didn't know it. You don't even know it. You just do it. Yeah. Do what you're told. Oh, rock up. Okay, let's go. Yeah. And it was I didn't realize it until I came back from Kosovo how exhausted I really was. I realized I lost myself completely. I didn't know who I was. I was completely under the army, military construct. I gave myself up to them, everything, and I didn't realize I lost myself in the process. So I had to rediscover myself. So, but I didn't know I had an issue, I went to the mental health nurse and, oh, you got PTSD, we'll give you 3 months off. I'm like, fuck no. I need to be around people, I need to work. You know what I mean? So I was absolutely adamant to not give into the system, just give me some help. So I did anger management courses, and I started going back to school. Actually, I went back to college to do, while I was in the infantry, doing policing, and that helped. So I did it in 3 aspects. I looked at life as a triangle. So myself, like mental health, physical health, and mental health in terms of like education, and then physical health, and then professionalism. So I took those 3 sort of triangles, ends of the triangle, and I decided to focus on those 3 aspects of my life. And I cut off the booze. I started going to college part-time, and I started working out like crazy, and I was really focusing in on being a professional soldier, and that helped. But the mental health part wasn't being taken care of. It masked the approach I took. Masked it. Great job masking it. I felt smart. I felt great. I was healthy. I worked out like a maniac because I was overcompensating. Right. So it did all those things. Right. I focused in on my work, became everything. So I was doing really well professionally, better than I was before. It was quite successful, but I didn't address the real underlying issues. And until I came back from Afghanistan, the first roto, that's when I realized I had a problem. But I only did the R2MR stuff. I didn't. I treated the symptom. I didn't treat the cause. And it's so funny because when you have a traumatic event or whatever, I found in my personal situation, I had a whole bunch of traumatic events that I suppressed, and it just culminated into like one event, and it just replaced all the other little events. So. It was a whole bunch of little series of events that led up to a point where I really had a problem. But again, I suppressed it because I know how to deal with it. I saw social work for 10 years before that. She gave me all the strategies, my tactical strategies. I was good to go, right? Just deal with it, right? And that's what I did. And I was comfortable with my new self, my angry, aggressive outbursts, crazy driver kind of guy. That became me. That was my normal, right? So I was used to it. So I only didn't seek help until I signed those papers, man, and VAC took care of me. Yeah, that's when I saw help. And with my injury, even though I had a series of little injuries, not little, series of injuries throughout my career, they treated me for one injury, and I was able to make sense of all the other injuries that occurred. So that was great in the fact that she was able to put me on course because through I did critical incident therapy, so it was like intensive experience therapy. So you're reliving the experience over and over again. It was brutal. It was hard work. It took 12 weeks to go through, but I was able to work through that. And now we're on a path of rediscovery. So bringing me back to where I was before all this started, finding myself again, right? So it's been an amazing adventure. It was really hard to acknowledge really hard to acknowledge the injuries, you know. So I suffered from a moral injury and some other traumatic events, not related to the critical illness that I was diagnosed for, but we had using that as a sort of a guide. We're able to sort of understand how I could attack all those other issues. And for the most part, it was coming to a reset. So my perception of the event that occurred was incorrect. So the therapy helps correct it, your perception of it, and put you on the right path. Because I've been straying off on the wrong path for so long, and now I've been recorrected, and I'm moving in a more straight direction in terms of how I think about things and why I was thinking about it the way I was thinking about it. So I was really successful in coming to that conclusion, for sure. A story I heard 2 weeks ago on CBC was about a soft guy who was in Rwanda in '94, and what they were doing was they were just trying to help people and, you know, protect people from the atrocities. Mainly, they were picking up straggling kids and they're throwing them in the truck, like just kids without parents because they were killed or whatever. Throw them in the back of the truck, bring them to a house, and they became sending these children to a home, and this home became a kind of a refuge or an orphanage. The woman that ran the orphanage took care of all these kids. Well, he left back to Canada and he was devastated. He thought, and he had a rapport with this kid that he dropped off there. He nicknamed him a certain name, I can't remember. But then when he left back to Canada, he always believed that kid probably had died, and it caused him a lot of issues. Well, 25 years later, does he not? He's still absolutely saddened by it. He was divorced over that issue, and he couldn't get over the loss of this boy. Well, his girlfriend pushed him to Google it. The kid's name showed up. He's like, what? And the woman wrote a book about the orphanage. So he gets in touch with the woman, gets in touch with the boy. The boy is now a man. He runs an adventure tour out of I think Kigali.
Okay.
So he's alive and well. So all these years, Buddy just went through this, you know, this thinking now, how he wasn't able to help, and then these children were dying. Meanwhile, the child he had the greatest experience with was alive and well, you know. So understanding where our perceptions, our thoughts, sometimes are wrong, they're incorrect, and in my situation was the same, you know. So understanding that really helped me, you know. And VAC set me up with OSI clinic, set me up with therapy, group therapy. So I've had a wonderful experience in terms of coming to terms with my issues, and getting me on the right path, you know.
I do have to ask. I mean, you tell the story, you know, that, and you say that VAC helped you and they got you on the path. Yeah. And as you communicate, it's just very, they helped me, they got me on the path. But how hard was the work you had to do when you got on that path? I mean, they got you to those resources,
Yeah.
but I mean, you had to put the work in.
Absolutely. That was the hardest thing. Hardest thing, I tell you, man. Opening up was so difficult for me, you know? And especially when you don't even know what the fuck is wrong with you. Excuse my language. You know, you don't even know what the hell's wrong with you. You don't understand why you're so angry all the time. Is it because of me? Is it my childhood? Like, what the fuck? Why am I so angry all the time? Why am I so, pissed off at life and irresponsible and my concentration level is the shits. I can't sleep, you know. I had a really horrible time, and my wife and I were on the rocks for sure. You know, it was hard, especially going through this. You know, and I have 2 children, so you know, and they bore the brunt of a lot of this pain. You know, and I'm that is a part of me that I'm struggling with right now, is recovering from hurting them, but not even knowing it. You know, so that's where I'm going through the greatest challenge in my therapy right now, is how to come to terms with repairing my relationship with my children. My son, I don't even exist in his life, because I never existed in his life. Because when you have PTSD, you're so self-absorbed, because you can't even look after anybody else, because you can't even look after yourself. So that was a big challenge, you know. Just even saying that I have PTSD, I still don't accept it. I accept it to some degree, but I still have issues with it, you know, because it's a broad brush, right? And I'm really suffering from a moral injury, but there's other injuries that I sustained through the career that could be PTSD. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I still have problems accepting it. I still have problems saying it, you know? I think this is the first time, maybe the second time I've ever said it, that I actually diagnosed with PTSD. You know, it's a hard thing to say, you know? But in my view, I want to lick it. I want to kill it, and I want to fucking bury it. You know what I mean? and carry on with my life, right?
Yeah.
So that's my goal, right? I know we have to live with it, and we can manage it. And one of these days, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be fine. You know, I just can't wait for that day to happen, you know, bro?
Yep.